which we'll come back with Steve Martin and the Steep Canyon Rangers and Mike Birbiglia, and a good time will be had by all. So thank you very much for coming today, and we'll get started in just a couple of seconds.
I am.
Actor, comedian, playwright, novelist, art collector. Just when it seemed like Steve Martin had run out of job titles, he returns to an early love, the banjo. I'm John Schaefer, and today on Soundcheck, Steve Martin and the Steep Canyon Rangers will join us to play songs from their new album, Rare Bird Alert. We are live in the green space. Comedian Mike Birbiglia has been known to wield a guitar in his stand-up act. For us today, he'll preview his new off-Broadway show called My Girlfriend's Boyfriend, plus the winner of our Remix the Rails contest. All of
From NPR News in Washington, I'm Pam.
That sounded great.
With the UN preparing to create a no-fly zone over Libya, the Gaddafi regime...
You don't want to hear what I'm raised at level 5 on a scale of 1 to 7. To the 3 Mile Island accident in the US in 1979. Chernobyl disaster was a level 7. Meanwhile, the plight of hundreds of thousands now hopeless by the earthquake and tsunami worsened as snow fell across northeastern Japan and supplies of water, food and fuel ran low at evacuation. Given NPR News, Mizusawa, northeastern Japan.
The government will not close its doors at least for another 3 weeks.
Bad news before we go on.
Meantime, NPR Scott Horsley says more than 60 senators are urging.
Steve Martin just might be the world's funniest serious banjo player. This is Soundcheck. I'm John Schaefer. Today we are live in the green space. First, Steve Martin picked up the banjo when he was a teenager, but due to an acute case of success in stand-up comedy in Hollywood as a writer and art collector, Martin didn't record his first bluegrass album until a couple of years ago, but it promptly netted him a Grammy and won him many fans in the bluegrass community, which can be hard to impress. For his follow-up album called Rare Bird Alert, Steve Martin has enlisted a crack band from North Carolina called the Steep Canyon Rangers. They are all here in the green space with us to play the title track from Rare Bird Alert. Please welcome Steve Martin and the Steep Canyon Rangers.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Soundcheck, and I should tell folks listening on the radio, you can actually see what you're hearing through our live webcast online at wnyc.org/thegreenspace. Meet the Steep Canyon Rangers.
With a lot of Chinese.
That was a lot of syllables.
Thank you very much.
Let me introduce you to the Rangers. Mike Gugino, who plays the mandolin. Charles Humphrey III, who plays the bass. Woody Platt on guitar. Mickey Sanders playing the fiddle. Dueling banjos, Graham Sharp and Steve Martin. So Steve, what is a Rare Bird Alert?
Oh, a Rare Bird Alert is actually something, I worked on a movie last summer in Canada. It's called The Big Year with Jack Black and Owen Wilson. And it's about competitive bird watching.
Real cutthroat sport. Huh?
Yes, it kind of makes you want to see it, right? It's actually based on a non-fiction book called The Big Year. And they can call up and just they get a rare 5. They actually spend a lot of money. They take planes and get there any way they can.
Have you ever done any of this yourself?
only in the movies. But I've done a lot of things only in the movies. Well, I just fell in love with the banjo when I was very young, and there's a folk music craze, and it swept the nation. It began really for the public with the Kingston Trio, but it really brought to light a lot of great musicians, including Pete Seeger, who was already known, but he became known across the nation because of the popularity of the Kingston Trio, and that led to Bob Dylan and Joan Baez, and it started a great movement.
And so it was around that time that you fell in love with this instrument.
Yes, I heard the Dillards live, which is a great bluegrass act, and I got to see Earl Scruggs, one of the great banjo players.
Well, you know, the great banjo virtuoso Bela Fleck,
yes,
who has won Grammys in more different categories than anybody in Grammy history.
I'm glad you mentioned that.
Well, Bela Fleck once told us that the definition of a gentleman. Have you heard this joke? What's the definition?
Well, I've
of a
never
gentleman?
heard the definition of a gentleman. I'm sure I haven't heard that.
Definition of a gentleman is someone who can play the banjo, but doesn't. And by that definition, Steve, you have been a gentleman for a good couple of decades. Why have you come back to it? You know, why
Well, I
now?
always loved the instrument. It's actually a long story, but that's why I'm here, isn't it? You know, there's many players who could do that, but I do have my own songs, and I played one of the songs for him, and it was called The Crow. And he said, yeah, let's do that one. And so we recorded it, and it became this little modest hit.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought, wait a minute, I've got other songs. So I recorded an album, and it became a hit. And it was actually went to #1 on the bluegrass charts, and on the pop charts it went to number 10,227. And then well, I'll tell you about it. I like to write songs about love, because you can almost say anything in the song and it'll be true for somebody somewhere, because love is so infinitely complex. I was driving in the car the other day listening to a song on the radio, and I thought, wow, it's like that person knows me. I remember the exact line. It was, I'm breaking up with you, Steve, you white-haired bastard. But I think a lot of people will at least identify with the title of this song. It's called Go Away, Stop, Turn Around, Come Back.
Steve Martin and the Steve Canyon Rangers live in the green space. And a song called Go Away, Stop, Turn Around, Come Back.
I got a novel out last year, and I know when it's time to write because I lie down at night in bed and I just feel words going through my mind, and sometimes they form sentences, sometimes I don't, and I wake up in the morning and I go to the computer, or I have an idea and I'll write, and then I know when it's time for music because I just find myself drifting over to the banjo, and I know when it's time to act because my agent calls. You know, acting is not something you can do just around the house. I say to my wife, please call me King Henry VIII this morning. He's eating.
Well, you could do that, whether you get a
Well, that's another
response you want. But when the words come, do you know whether that's going to be the beginnings of another play or another book, or might it be a song?
Well, you know, and for example, in the case of the last song, I thought of the title, and I just jotted it down. I thought, well, that'll be good in a song. That sounds like a good song. But it was only later, and I actually had the tune, it was only months later that I realized they went together, that they actually scanned
All right.
And then we sat down with the Rangers and we actually wrote the song together.
All right, now quickly, how did you and the Rangers come together?
My wife and her family like to vacation in North Carolina in Brevard. What a coincidence, because this has been the luckiest teaming of my life, except getting married, of course. And I went to they came to a party, and they said, oh, a local band is going to come by. And of course I thought, oh, a local band, this is going to be, oh my God. I can't wait to show them my stuff. And they were fantastic, and now here we are working together. It's been a fantastic excursion for me, and making a record together. And you know, of course, I'm taking all the money, so they live in a van.
And the result of the fruits of this labor, the album called Rare Bird Alert.
Rare Bird Alert,
which is out now. You've got 2 more songs to do for us.
Yes.
The first of them called Jubilation Day.
Yes, it's based on the premise that not all breakups are bad. And sometimes, I think everybody's had the experience that you have a relationship end and you just feel like happier than you've ever felt. You're kind of walking on air. So that's the premise of this song.
Once again, it's Steve Martin and the Steep Canyon Rangers live in the green space.
Like dear Abby told me, I'm walking away. My shrink game is okay, I'm walking away. The self-help book in Florida, I'm walking away. Jubilation Day. In my dreams, wear red cape and a pitch, I'm walking away. Jubilation Day. I'm walking away. Where'd you hide my banjo string? I'm walking away. I'll be over you by lunchtime. I'm walking away. Jubilation Day. I'm walking away. I'm walking away. You should always stay in touch. I'm walking away. This is your new email address, right? I'm walking away. Cheating psycho dish throwing home.net. I'm walking away. Bye.
That was good, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, funny song, yeah? How do you like it?
Northern Island. We call this in bluegrass parlance a breakdown. 1, 2, 3, 4.
The album sounds great. Really nice of you to make room on the record for a struggling young artist like Paul McCartney and
Yes, wish him luck.
and the Dixie Chicks, also guests on the record. But congratulations, a splendid recording, and thank you guys for coming and playing for us today.
My pleasure.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you take it off?
Yeah, buddy. We'll
Okay.
load.
Thank you. Okay.
Make sure you cover your stuff.